Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of the Geek Press podcast. I am your host, Luis Gutierrez, and on this episode, I'm joined by my co host, Noah Garcia, and we talk about a lot about Marvel actually. It's a very Marvel themed episode. We give our thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward, very original idea. And we talk about Hugh Jackman and Deadpool 3, we talk about Google Stadia, and we talk about a bunch of other stuff too. And if you guys are listening to us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helped the channel grow out a lot. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to give us a good rating and leave a review. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please be sure to follow us and leave us a good review as well. It'll help us grow the top of the charts. The more the podcast grows, the more you hear of us. It's a win-win. But without further ado, here's episode 24 of the Geek Press podcast. And hey, look, this time I actually got it right. We're really on episode 24 this time. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Luis Gutierrez, and welcome to episode 24 of the Geek Press podcast. This time we are really on episode 24, and I'm just not messing that up. I'm here, as always, joined by my co-host, Mr. Noah Garcia.
Hey guys, how are you? Fun fact, that was actually a test. We didn't actually make the mistake. We kept saying 24, even though we were on 23. So honestly, that's on you guys. It was a test for you and you failed.
Yeah,
hmm
just stop listening. Just
Just stop
stop.
listening. Go
You're not a
home
real
and think
fan.
about your life. Think about your life.
Maybe
What
you
would your
should.
mother think if she saw you? What would your mother think? She'd be real mad, real disappointed.
Your ex was very valid for breaking up with you too. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's not on them.
Yeah. And the reason you lost your job, that's all on you, buddy. I don't want to hear no Nancy crying. The depression. The only depression I have is when I think about you.
So we have a few topics we want to talk about today. Um, there was one right here that wasn't on our itinerary, but I just want to bring it up with you
Mhm.
because I was talking about it with my girlfriend. We've talked about this a few times, off camera, but
Mm.
you've watched Community, right? Did you ever finish it?
I did not finish Community. Right around the season where everyone was starting to leave and they were introducing new characters,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fell off just
That's a
because I
good.
didn't really, I didn't really find it funny anymore.
That's
It
a
was
that's a good place to fall off.
because I would say like there were times in earlier seasons where I would like genuinely laugh at jokes, but now I was just like, oh, that's entertaining. Like I wouldn't laugh anymore, and that's kind of when I know like, oh, maybe I should leave a show.
Because Community always had a thing. It was like, oh, 6 seasons in a movie, right? That was like always their thing.
Yeah,
And I think they got to 6 seasons. I'm almost 100% sure at the top of my head that they got to six
yeah.
seasons.
They made it to
And
6 seasons because the joke online has been like, oh, now all they need is a movie.
yeah, and so now they finally got confirmed for a movie, which I was like, I think it's gonna be on Peacock.
Oh yeah, everybody go buy Peacock now, I guess.
And my biggest thing, I was like, I finished Community, right? And
hmm
it's like the first couple seasons are great. It's really good. And then it just like soon as like Donald Glover leaves and then Chevy Chase leaves, like the whole dynamic of the show just falls apart. And it just gets progressively worse. And like by the time the show ends, it's like, fuck, this was bad. And
hmm
I was talking about this with my girlfriend. And on top of that, I watched the show maybe like 2 years ago. I'm like, Community is kind of an old TV show now. Like who do you really care about a Community movie? Like what could they do now at this point?
It is mostly just for the fans of Community.
Yeah.
I don't really see it being for new people.
Yeah, that
And you know what? I have beef with Community because back in college at Rio, shout out Rio Hondo,
nothing like that.
I wrote a pilot for a community college sitcom. And then I was telling this guy, my father Diego, and he was just like, "Oh, this is just Community." And I was like, "What?" Because I'd never heard of the show before at all. He was like, "Yeah, this is just Community. Like some of the characters are also like kind of this." And I was just like, "Son of a bitch." Dan Harmon and the whole Community people stole my idea. I don't care who had it first and who was on TV first. That was my idea, and they stole it. And for that very injustice, I will never care for Community truly because that was my chance to start them. That's it. So
It's probably for the best because your idea would have started good and then progressively got worse.
no, I would have known when to stop it. After season 3, I would have been like, all right, that's it.
Listen,
That's
that's what everyone says until the bag comes rolling in, and they're like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna keep this going as long as I can.
Yeah. When I get that Netflix money, they're like, we want you to do a 4th season. I would have been like, oh my god,
Yeah,
fourth
that's it.
season.
But yeah, that was just a quick little intro. But before before we dive into like the meat of the podcast, how's your week been like, Noah? Any
My
shows,
week is
movies, whatnot?
mm, my week has been pretty good. Rings of Power continues to be a really stellar show that I think everyone should jump into. So that's the show. And for reading, Tim Drake Robin, he
Yeah.
is the third Robin in the Batman family, and he just came out with his own solo. He had a number one. I thought it was decent. There's a bit of a contrast because the art is, I would almost describe like the art, like like balloon words, that
Mm-hmm.
like that font. The art is, it's balloon people, if that makes sense, and it's supposed to be like a detective story in Gotham, kind of. So it's just such a contrast between the art and the writing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. I'll probably grab the second issue if I can. And that's when I've been reading and watching. What about you, Lewis?
So I've been working all week on this. I'm working on a guide for IGN for a game called Ground It. I don't know if I think I talked about it last week on the podcast. And the game is fucking hard. It's really fucking difficult. And it's just like every time I'm working on this, I'm like, God damn, this is gonna be a long.
Now, is it difficult in the sense that it's fun difficult, or just like annoyingly difficult?
It's like annoyingly difficult because I'm playing it by myself, and this is like a game that's clearly meant to be played with friends. And like I played it a little bit with
Yeah.
one of my buddies, and it wasn't as hard as it was by myself, but it was still difficult nonetheless. And I was like, "Fucking Christ!" It's just like it's gonna be a long like week and a half for me until I get this done.
Yeah.
I spent
I'm sure you'll get it done.
I spent like the first week just kind of playing the game, and
Hmm.
now like as soon as I'm done editing this today, I'm gonna get right back to working on the guide. So I need to start working on like the foundation because it was like a week of me actually not working on the guide, just playing the game so I can familiarize
Yeah.
myself. So
Exactly.
last thing I want is my editors to hit me up and be like, "Hey, Luis, what's going on?" So,
Hmm.
but
Are you are you
mm.
the only one working on this guide, or are you collaborating with anyone this time?
It's funny because I was talking about this with some of my buddies, some of my other freelance buddies. This is the first guide I've worked on with a team in like the past like 6 guides. Usually, at least for this year, the common theme has been I've been working solo. So like there'd be games I'd work on and it's just 110% me. Like I'd pitch a guide and I'd be like, "Hey, I want to do this, this, and this," and they're like, "Okay, that's all you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I would be doing the job of like 3 other people, and
Hmm.
but this one right here, it's like just like I'm working with other people now, but I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is a weird change of pace where I'm actually working with like other people, and I could if I really need the help." I could like let's say for sake of conversation, you're on the same assignment as me. I could message you up like, "Hey Noah, do you have XYZ? I need help right here," and you'd be like, "Yeah, I got it." So it
Hmm.
is a little it's a nice change of pace to be working with a team again.
Oh yeah, and it's good that you get along with all of them.
Oh yeah, they're all pretty cool. I don't I'm not just saying this because I work with them, but I don't think there's been a single person at IGN nor GameSpot that I've like met that I don't really like or don't get along with. Like for the most part, I think in like all of my fields of like journalism work, games journalism, the staff has been phenomenal. It's been nothing like anything else
Hmm.
where I've worked in like traditional journalism for a very very brief time, and when I worked in college, they were all super like cutthroat and like you gotta
Hmm.
be here and do this by this time, blah 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 blah. Of course, there's rules to follow and shit, like, but it's not like as cutthroat, and everyone's like super willing to look out for one another, and that's really
Hmm.
nice.
And everyone's like focused on the same goal in a sense, because
Yeah.
in that college newsroom you have all kinds of writers, all kind of beats in there, and sometimes they'll clash just because they're trying to do their thing. So y'all are on the same team.
hmm and it's like they're all willing. Like all of my editors I've talked to, they're all willing to help me out. Like I've contacted a few of them. I'm like, hey, how do I get to where you're at right now? And they're like, I did this, this, and this. And they're like, I did, they're all willing. Like I've never had one person be like, leave me alone.
They're like, let me tell you something, kid. I kissed a lot of ass to get into my position. And you have to do the same.
But yeah, I got that was sidetracked. But yeah, I've been working on the Grounded guide, and also too, I went to go pick up some comics today, right? Not today,
Oh
on
my
Wednesday.
gosh.
It
You're so
reminded me.
busy, you rarely have time to do that.
It reminded me. I have a stack of comics like pretty
Mhm.
thick now that I need to get through, and I was
Oh
like,
my god.
oh damn. So I need to make some time. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I'm gonna just read a fuck ton of comics tomorrow
I
because
respect that.
yeah, I still need to get through a lot of them. I'm looking at the stack right now. It's a pretty hefty stack.
It's a real hefty stack, huh?
Hmm.
Real hefty.
But that's been my week. I've just been working on Grounded, and I
Mhm.
can't wait for the full thing to be released. But yeah. But let's actually jump into like the meat of our show now. Let's go. No, do you want to kick it off? Do you want to talk? What do you want to talk
Oh
about?
my gosh. Well, I think first off, we should do a little bit of Noah
Oh
news. I'm
yeah,
waiting for your harmonica. Yeah, we gotta. Every time I say that, you gotta play the harmonica.
yeah. Do it again. Do it
Get
again.
away, get away from the microphone a little. Get ready. Noah news. All right, in this game, that this second time in a row, congratulations to us for being consistent for twice in a row. I'm going to give you three sets of two headlines, and you have to decide which is real and which is fake. Now, the theme for this one is stuff you'd probably see in Guinness World Record book.
Okay,
Okay, are you ready for the first one?
hit me.
Okay. Longest line of sandwiches record broken in Texas.
Hmm.
Biggest calzone made in New Jersey.
I love how these both play off stereotypes.
Yeah, that's the world we live in. Mm.
Uh,
Do you like calzones?
yeah, I like calzones. I don't eat them a
Yeah, they're
lot, but I
pretty
like
good,
them.
right?
Hmm.
Sometimes they can be a little greasy on the inside, but I like calzones. They're just hot pockets.
Yeah, the fancy hot
Yeah.
pockets. Let's go. Let's go calzone. Let's go calzone.
And
Damn, my
unfortunately,
gut was.
volunteers with the Texas charity broke a Guinness World Record when they assembled 10,852 sandwiches and placed them in a line.
God damn. What do you do with
Yeah,
those sandwiches after? Like, do you eat them? Do you give them out? Like,
I have the article does not talk about it, but Tango charity officials said that the sandwiches were made in an attempt would be to distribute them to charities in the area.
okay, okay. At least they went to a good cause.
Like fingers crossed, but yeah, the former record was 8,000 sandwiches in South Africa. So the fact that they did 2,000 more than the previous record is insane.
You know, if I was them, I would have just done one more.
Like 8,001.
Just exactly one more. Just to be like, just to save you the time.
You know what? That feels like disrespect, honestly. You just Okay, here we go. Next one, next one, next one, next
Mhm.
one. Okay. World's largest bobblehead unveiled in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
World's longest slinky made in Ohio.
I think it's the bobblehead.
Yes, it is a
Okay, I
bobblehead. That
remember
was
hearing
good.
something about this.
A Pennsylvania based store chain celebrated its 40th anniversary by breaking the Guinness World Record with a bobblehead figure measuring 16 feet, 6.73 inches high. And it's like a
Damn.
bobblehead of the store's mascot.
Imagine how large that spring has to be in it for like the head to actually like bobble.
I'm just waiting for like a hurricane to go through and like throw that bobble so it just destroy everything.
You know, with Hurricane Ian, that actually might happen.
No, it's not. Pennsylvania is not by the coast, is it? Are we
I
about
don't
to
know.
fail? Are we gonna fail U.S. geography right now?
I don't know anything fucking past the the West
You know what?
Coast.
We're in California. We don't need to know where anything else is. We're
Mm-hmm.
the only ones that matter.
Exactly. Number one economy in America, baby. Or no, it's not number one. It's like fourth, isn't it, or something? It's like fourth in the
Something like
world or
that.
something.
It's
I don't
like
know.
top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Okay, the last one. Deaf singer wins X Factor Poland. Blind skateboarder breaks record with 50-50 grind.
I'm gonna go blind skateboarder, like Daredevil.
Yeah, that's right. You got 2 in a
Yes.
row. You beat me this time. The blind skateboarder from Michigan broke a Guinness World Record when he performed a 50-50 grind on a rail for a distance of 22 feet.
Nice.
Mhm.
Good job on that person.
This guy took up the skateboarding at 13, and that was the same year he was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, and it affects like light coming into your eye. So he was just like, I just got to skateboard no matter what, which I
Good
really
for him.
respect. Hmm. And that's really cool. Like, it gives me the drive to be like, hey, if this blind teen person can break a world record for skateboarding, maybe I can like get up in the morning. You know what I mean?
I think you should see a therapist. If
I
that's like
probably should,
that's the motivation you need to get out of bed.
yeah. No, I'm just joking, but I do respect the kid. In middle school, I did try to take up skateboarding, but I fell so many times I just gave up because
That
I
you
just think skating is cool.
It was funny too because when I was growing up, my neighbors would always skate, and I tried skating too, but then I quickly realized I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Fuck skateboarding. I was
Mhm.
like, skateboarding's cool. It's a cool thing, but it's just like I can't do it.
You know, friend of the show, Rudy, actually rollerblades.
I rollerblade too.
You rollerblade too?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend have a pair of roller skates that we haven't rode them around in like a good chunk, but we roller
I
skate around.
I've never heard of you ever rollerblading in my life. When
I don't
did you do
roller I
that?
don't rollerblade. I roller skate.
Oh, sorry, roller skate.
Yeah, the difference. The difference. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Remember that
Uh,
became when that became like a trend during the pandemic?
that was
People weren't
during
getting out.
that's when we got it. My girlfriend was like
Oh,
super into
okay.
it, and she was like, "Oh, let's roller skate," and I was like, "Okay, fuck it, let's go get some roller skates." So we got some roller skates.
Let's
As
bring
a
it back.
they're
Let's bring back that trend.
it's fun.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of a workout too, though. I'm not gonna lie, because you gotta like balance yourself and all that. But it's a fun thing to do.
That does sound fun. My only issue is that I cannot have any semblance of balance at all. I fall
But
off things incredibly easily, so I
that's
just
just you
can't.
trying to be quirky and weird. Okay, get over it. You're in your head.
First, first of all, I'm quirky and weird without even trying. That's how quirky and special I am. Second of all, I do have terrible balance. I have fallen. I've had many leg injuries in the past.
Really?
I just
What's the
yeah.
most recent leg injury you've had?
I think maybe a couple years ago, I tore some tendons in my leg when I was trying to like bend backwards to do a matrix pose.
When was this? When was this?
I want to say like 2018.
See that's like 4 years ago. That's
It
for
is, huh?
4 6 years. That's a good chunk. So you can't say that was recently. That was a long time ago already.
That was a long time. You're right. Maybe I'm just
You
over
live.
exaggerating
Yes, that's
things.
exactly what you're doing, and
Oh
I'm
my
calling you
god.
out.
Am I becoming aware?
Yes, yes, you
Oh
are.
no. I'm a robot. I just blow up.
I'm
Ah.
not gonna let you live in that fantasy bubble anymore.
Fantasyland, Fantasyland. I'm gonna live in a Fantasyland. But yeah, that was Noah News. Thank you so much for playing. You beat me this time because I won last time. So Noah News. All right, now let's get to our first topic of discussion that I'm weirdly vested in that I want to talk about, and that's upcoming Marvel projects.
All right, so
Hmm.
go for it.
I'm just so tired. I'm not gonna try to be negative. I'm so tired of Marvel. I'm just tired. And it's funny because this phase might have the most projects I'm excited for, like the new Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever.
You know
Uh
what's so funny about that Black Panther movie though?
it better be funny.
I just can't help but every time I see it, I think of
Mhm.
how Shiri, the actress who plays this here, is like so like anti-vax.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. She's an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, and I just like, oh, I don't know if you guys can hear my pug on the mic. Probably not.
It's very cute. I heard it.
But if you
It
hear
was like,
some snorts, that's my pug.
yeah, it's gonna be
But yeah, every time I see that movie now, I just associate that with like anti-vaxxing because of her. And so like, regardless for like if it's good or bad, I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, that's she's the anti-vaxxer. And then I saw a when the trailer first like revealed, right? Someone on Twitter was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, is this the movie where she fights vaccine mandates?"
That's so bad.
Yeah, like it's just so funny because like that movie has so much going for itself, but like she just
That
kind of
one thing just sticks in your head.
yeah, that one thing just sticks in my fucking head.
You know, I kind of feel the same about the new Ant-Man and Wasp movie, which
Oh, that's
I
right.
wasn't
She's
even
like the
planning on
same
watching.
way,
Yeah,
right?
Evangeline Lilly is also an anti-masker. She had a whole thing about it.
I remember on her Instagram, I
Mhm,
remember that because it was like super late at night, I think, when she posted it,
mhm,
and I was like, one eye open, I was like, I don't want to read all this, and I woke up the next morning, and everyone was
mhm,
like, oh, she posted something controversial. I was like, oh, that's what I was too lazy to read.
mhm. She's also this is we're finding out which actors really are anti-mask right now during this whole pandemic. It revealed a lot of things that felt kind of obvious, but just kind of like put them to the forefront.
hmm
And
You
it's
know,
funny because Shuri's character, she's like this big scientist, and then she's an
yeah.
anti-vaxxer. So it's very ironic.
You know what too? Like I have this mixed feeling since we're just talking about like actors and like and whatnot. Is I used to love love like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the MCU. But now after hearing like
Uh-huh.
Chris Pratt and how he's kind of like a piece of shit, I'm just like,
You know, the thing about Chris Pratt is that he himself has never said anything outwardly like homophobic or racist, as far as I know, as far as
yeah,
has been brought
as
to
far
light.
as I know
He's
too.
never said any of that, but it's more so just the company you keep
No,
and
but
the church he's gone to has a history of
did you
being
hear what
like
he said
homophobic. And
about his current wife?
oh yeah, we don't even have to get into the whole baby thing.
Yeah,
That was also kind of shitty.
that's the main thing right there. Like I've
Mhm,
talked to like some people and they're like, "No, he didn't mean it like that." I'm like, "No, he's a piece of shit for saying that. He's 110% a piece of shit for saying that." And so when
he
I saw him in
is.
when I saw him in Thor, I was just like, get out of here, Chris Pratt."
If I watch Guardians, it's gonna be for Rocket because he's my favorite Guardian, and
Mhm.
apparently his story is gonna take center stage in the next one.
Which it should have been already. Which I don't get
Mhm.
why this taking him anyways. But yeah.
Frankly, he should be the leader of the Guardians.
Mhm.
But yeah, Chris Pratt. Honestly, where was his PR team? Did they not look over that Instagram post and be like, this is not a good look for you. Can you please change that caption?"
I don't know. And
Like,
then
come on.
like I get it, you know, if you want to be religious, go for it. I'm
Mhm,
not gonna like give you shit for that. But don't go to a church that's like notoriously like
mhm.
fucking like like insanely conservative.
I know a lot of celebrities go to that church too. I think Justin Bieber and a few
Well,
others.
Justin Bieber,
Oh, that's
I still think Bieber's a piece of shit for what he did back in the day.
mhm.
Anyways, we're not this ain't the celebrity
Yeah,
gossip
it's
podcast.
not celebrity gossip. This is the nonsense podcast where we just talk about random topics. But aside, there's lots of projects coming up in the MCU. But the two I'm most excited for is Wakanda Forever and the Marvels. I'm very
I
excited for the Marvels. I love Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan, and Carol Danvers will be there, I guess. But Kamala Khan, yay! No, I joke. I like Brie Larson. I'm just like I'm okay with not seeing more of her. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Like I really did like her movie. I thought it had a good
you're like the
message just
only
in general.
person who liked that movie.
Mhm. It made a billion, so I don't think so.
Dude, that doesn't
Only person you know.
okay, okay, just because it made a lot of money doesn't
Mhm.
mean it's good.
Yeah, but I never said that. You said you're the only one that likes it, and I'm saying people can like things and the thing not being good. Look at BVS.
You love BVS.
I know that doesn't mean it's fantastic. I can love things without them being like super good.
Okay, continue. Continue.
Okay, but I'm very excited for the Marvels. I'm very much there for the story of Monica and Kamala. Those two are my favorite, especially Kamala. Kamala is one of my favorite kids. But those are the two movies I'm most excited for coming out of the MCU. What about you?
A lot of
Is it
nothing.
okay? If you're checked out, maybe go into why you're checked out.
Okay, well here's the ones I'm looking. I know we talked about this in a DM a little ways back.
Mhm. Like, how
Um,
about that new Daredevil show? Are you
yeah,
excited for that?
I'm excited for Daredevil. Daredevil's like he's like up there, like in my like top three
Mhm.
characters. I'm excited for Daredevil. I'm excited for Loki. I thought Loki was really good,
Mhm.
and I want to see Secret Wars. Those are probably the ones I'm really excited for. But it's
Mhm.
like the rest, I don't really, I don't find myself really caring too much. Like Moon Knight was cool, but it just like when I finished it, I wasn't like, yeah, I need more Moon Knight. You know, like if they ended it
Mhm.
right then and there, I'm like okay, that's cool. Um, like his sidekick, which is like his girlfriend, she was cool, but
Mhm.
um, which I don't feel like a lot of people talk about her. Like I feel like she kind of came and went.
We're on different sides of Twitter for sure because a lot of people I saw when the the show came out, they're just like, "Where has she been my whole life?" Like people just simping over this. She has like wing. She has also had god powers or something. What was it? I didn't watch
Yeah,
the
I don't
show.
remember too much. Yeah, I don't see too many people talking about her, which is pretty funny. But it's just the reason why I don't really care about like the MCU no more. Is just I feel like they're just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point now. You know, like sure they still have a little bit of like their A-listers, but it's just now they're like who the fuck are the like I know who the Thunderbolts are, but like who the fuck are the Thunderbolts? Who are these guys and all? Like you're just kind of
They also have the most boring version of the Thunderbolts team there could ever
yeah.
be.
There's like three super soldiers in that team,
Uh-huh. And I'm
and
just like, the only one that interests me is Ghost, and she's barely had any development as a
yeah,
character.
when I saw Ghost, I was like, "Who the fuck is she again?" She was like, she was like the weakest part of that of like her movie too,
uh But
and
at least she has cool visual powers. I like the powers,
yeah,
but I can't like you could not tell me anything about her personality.
no,
I just
no, no,
remember
no,
like she was dying and she wanted them to save her or something. I forget what it was. I think that's it. And that was the
and
whole point of the movie.
yeah, it just I just don't really I don't really find myself caring. Like I haven't even watched She-Hulk yet, and I'm the only reason why I haven't watched it is because I told myself I'll watch it when Daredevil pops up. And as far as I know,
Mhm.
he hasn't popped up yet, and it just
Oh, you're one of those.
what
You're one of those fans. It's
sexist?
just like
Yes, I'm just kidding.
you know, I feel like a solid consensus I've heard from people that are actually able to review it without being shitty is that the pilot's terrible, but the show
hmm
gets better as it goes on.
Okay.
I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting. And I'm also kind of waiting for all of it to drop as it goes on. But that whole Daredevil stuff is so funny because I remember there was an episode where like Jen breaks the fourth wall and she looks at camera and she's like, I know it's a wedding episode, sorry. And then like that was the joke, and people got mad, like, where's Daredevil? And everyone was just like, she said at the beginning of the episode, it's a wedding episode. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So the show seems they've teased a bit of Daredevil, but it has I don't think there's been like an like heavy marketing. Like he showed up in the trailer for like a second,
hmm
but I think people were just so hyped for Daredevil that they got Daredevil colored glasses on.
Well,
They got those red shades.
even then though, they were like, yeah, he's gonna play a significant part in the show. Like they said that there was like articles and stuff about that, and I'm
I
like,
feel like those were those comic articles jumping the gun.
no, it was from like IGN and stuff.
You keep talking. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see if you're right.
Yeah, I remember seeing some. I think it was IGN or GameSpot. It was one or the other. But like, but that's the whole reason why I don't really care. It's like all these characters I don't really like. I don't really care for. You know, like I just don't feel like they really have that like oof. Like the one I'm excited for, I feel like they could do the most is Sam Wilson's Captain America. Just because one, they could really like lean on the aspect of like a black man taking the mantle of Captain America, who was a white man. There's a lot you could do. There's just so much you could do with that. And also too, I don't really know too much about his character, but I feel like the fact that he's not a super soldier well,
Mhm.
like there's a lot you could do with that right there, where it's like him just being an ordinary
Mhm.
guy,
I'm
and
very
the
conflicted with that movie though.
well,
But I'm
okay,
sorry, go ahead.
I know you're okay, yeah, but I just feel like there's a lot you could do with that aspect right
Mhm.
there, where it's like a black man taking the role of a of replacing a white man who was like the symbol of America, and the fact that he's not a super soldier, and
Mhm.
but in regards to like actual like Marvel movies coming out, I don't really find myself caring too much, you know, like just like I don't know, I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but like there's just not too like the only other like big Marvel name I could think of right now is like the
Mhm.
Fantastic Four, which they're obviously the building towards that, and the X-Men. But
Mhm.
as someone who's like I'm not a big X-Men fan. I'm not saying I don't like them, but I don't read them as much as you
Yeah.
do. Um like you kind of we joke about this all the time, like the X-Men are like always destined to fail in one way or another. And so whenever they pop up is whenever they pop up. And Fantastic Four, obviously, I feel like the Fantastic Four and X-Men are going to be the new leaders
Mhm.
whenever they appear, but there's really nothing like no like really big major names at the moment that's like getting me invested. Like
Mhm.
yeah, that's it. But did you find those headlines by the way?
I found an article by Forbes that says that the showrunner said that Daredevil will have let me see. We got wind that he was coming back and it was Charlie Cox, and we were like, wait, does that mean I can use him? Are we allowed? And when they told us, yeah, we couldn't believe it. We just kept writing him in and we kept rolling with the story, thinking, okay, any moment now they're gonna tell us we can't use him. So apparently, maybe he's in the last couple episodes. I don't know. I guess so. I guess she is. So I've stand corrected. See, audience, I can learn. I'm not just I can learn. But apparently, I don't know how many episodes of She-Hulk there are going to be. But maybe he'll come in. Maybe he'll have a significant part, as in like because I know she's kind of stuck between like I don't want to be a superhero. I just want to be a lawyer. But maybe he'll like inspire her to like be a hero or something. I don't know. Because in the comics, she does both sometimes. Sometimes she'll like take a break from lawyering, but she's been able to do like heroing and lawyering at the same time. So good for her.
But okay, so why are you conflicted over the Captain America movie? Because I know you're a
Okay.
big Sam Wilson boy.
I'm a huge Sam Wilson boy. The two major things. First of all, Captain America: New World Order. If you did not know, New World Order is a anti-Jewish conspiracy theory
Oh
that
yeah,
many people like that phrase New World Order is literally a conspiracy theory where people are like, oh, the Jewish people are going to take over everything and they're infiltrating everything.
like very
And
Illuminati heavy
yeah,
too.
it's very anti-Semitic. So I'm just like, first of all, I understand the appeal of the name, but you have to be culture conscious enough to know that that's kind of effed up that you're naming your movie that. And then second, they are saying that there's going to be a villain called Sabra in it.
It's a
And
female, right?
yeah, I think she's a female mutant. I don't
Yeah,
know if they're
okay.
gonna keep her a
I
mutant, but Palestinians on social media were saying that that's Zionist propaganda of the character
what's
because
that
the
terminology, Zionist?
that's too big for me to go into, if
Is
that
that like
makes
a is that
sense.
like a
Like,
form of like a xenophobia kind of, or like a
yeah,
racism? Because okay,
anti-Semitic. Yeah,
okay,
I
that's the word
can't
I was
go.
looking for.
I'm not the knowledge. I'm not the. But the point is that the name Sabra is there was it's kind of associated with a massacre that took place in Beirut during
Ooh,
Israel's invasion of Lebanon. So people are like, why are you invoking the name Sabra? Because all Palestinians can think of is like the massacre of Sabra Shatila, and like it's just a weird like just name the character anything else.
mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a one
And
for one like comic.
yeah, and you know what? It's just an odd thing because it's just like why are you doing this? I'm kind of over Marvel. I realize now that Marvel will never translate things one for one, even though that'd be brilliant and it'd be amazing if they did. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, how are you gonna adapt this? But they could just so easily adapt it a different way. And I'm just like, come on, guys, please do your research. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love the character. I like Anthony Mackie. And the prompts at the beginning of the movie, they're just like, he's gonna earn the title Captain America. That's what the show was for. That's
That
the
is
whole point of the
true.
show. That's the whole point of the show, which I have my own issues for because it's like racism for babies. It's just like all the white MCU fans could be like, "Oh my god, I had no idea," and I'm just like, "Yeah, there's."
I
So I.
did the thing
Mhm,
about the show was like it was good. It was good up until the end. And that's what pains me because his costume looked so clean.
mhm,
And then I was like,
uh,
bruh, I was like, there was no repercussions for the Agent America. He didn't get arrested or
mhm.
anything. And I was like, ah, it
In fact,
was
he got a job. He got a job at the end of the whole
yeah,
thing.
you break you break national what was it like
Mhm.
worldwide laws, you get it here, you're gonna get a
Yeah,
job.
international law.
And yeah, it was just so good up until the end where they dropped the ball.
And I'm so tired of those villains that are just like, "Oh, their cause is good, but the way they're doing it is wrong." Like, I'm so tired of that. Like, there's been so many villains for so many movies.
So if when they introduce Doctor Doom, you're not gonna like that because isn't that his whole thing?
I don't know. It depends on how they introduce Doom because like his early appearances are just like, "I'm an evil guy. Screw you. Ha ha ha." Like very like dramatic 60s, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as he went on, it developed about like his Romani past and like how he's fighting for his country of Latveria, and that while his own ego and superiority complex does get in the way, there is like a semblance of like wanting to defend his kingdom because like
Mm-hmm.
that's his thing. Like, I am the ruler of Latveria. These are my people. Do not come into my kingdom unless you're down to die. Like,
It's gonna
so I.
irk me too that we're
Mhm.
not gonna see like a Doom, Iron Man like crossover and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be weird, but I get it. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's why I'm very conflicted about the new Captain America movie. If they started listening to fans and started changing everything, that'd be really great. But I don't see them doing that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
the thing like so like here's like the good and the bad about the MCU is that like it's ever changing for better or worse, you know. Even though we're saying we're not excited for like if, I might not be as excited, you might not be as excited. It's still cool that they're like experimenting. I'd rather see. I'm always a fan of new iterations for better or worse, you know. And but it's just like the thing about comics is you know it's always gonna go back to its static form, and because of that, like because of the movies, we're not gonna be able to see Chris Evans, Captain America, interact with like Galactus or something
that's
like that.
I feel kind of the opposite actually because this is the only universe that can actually move forward in time
Yeah, it's like a bittersweet
because.
thing in my opinion.
Mhm. Because we're gonna see actors phase out. We're gonna see them be tired. We're gonna see them want to end or their characters die, and there's very little chance you can actually bring them back. So we could actually see character progression. Although I doubt they're able to actually write them to have character progression. Just don't even talk to me about Thor: Love and Thunder because I will cry.
I
But
liked
the
it.
point is, uh, they did Jane dirty.
They did her good. As someone who never read the comics, I
No,
enjoyed her a lot.
as someone who read a lot of her run, as someone whose first Thor comic was Jane Foster Thor, I just feel like they could have given her more time. It's just
Hmm.
the death felt so quick, and it just lacked the gravitas of her death in the comics.
I feel like she's gonna come back though.
The thing is that I also have to mention. I think Natalie Portman was wanted to do like a one and done.
You
I
think
don't
so?
think she wants to come back. Yeah, I think from what I've seen from some of the Hollywood trades, she just wanted to come back because it seemed like a cool role, and then that was it.
I could see that. Because at the very least, they established that there's multiple afterlives and
Hmm.
stuff.
And that she's in like
Valhalla.
Valhalla or whatever. So I guess I mean she could always come back as a Valkyrie. I don't know. You never know. I mean that's who she is in the comics right now. She's a Valkyrie, so good for her.
But okay.
But yeah,
Um, anything
now I
else you
made
want to talk
myself
about the
sad.
MCU?
Uh, I really disliked Love and Thunder, but I think there was a lot of good ideas there. That's all I have to say.
I'm excited for Loki because I'm just a big fan of like the multiverse and what they're doing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as much as I Doctor Strange was cool, I just wish they would have done more multiversal stuff because it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of felt like you saw like only a handful of like
Mm-hmm.
a variants, you know. It was like
Mm-hmm.
different fonts of them, but Loki, it was like all over the place. So that's why I'm excited to see season 2 of Loki, where it's because they got weird with it, and that's what I loved about it. And for the most part, I felt like Doctor Strange was pretty tamed. But I think that's about
Mm-hmm.
everything we could talk
I like
about.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange was good. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I think it did have some issues, but I think a lot of them were writing and a lot of them were actually COVID. Like for instance, I'll never forget. There's a scene you can go on Disney Plus and see it right now. There's a scene where Wong is telling Strange like, "Oh, you have to take America's power," and before it, he has spiked up hair, and then
Hmm.
in the next scene, his hair's all combed over. Like the hairdressers forgot to fix his hair in between shoots or something. I'm just like, come on, guys. It's not like he has like a clean, smooth hair. Then it's like, come on, guys. Which is like a nitpick, but it just kind of shows like it's a symptom of the problem.
Oh, also the last thing we the whole reason why we were talking about this is the Blade movie is like in production hell right now.
Oh my god.
And
Let's
because of that, Armored War is becoming an actual movie, and I think that's not a good sign for Blade. What do you think?
I don't know what's going on with Blade. It seemed like such a bag with the director, Mahershala Ali on board, and
Hmm.
it's just I don't know what's going on. I heard that Ali doesn't really care for
It
the
was like the
direction they're
script was bad or
going.
something, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Just I don't know what's going on with that movie. And it's funny because Blade is just such an iconic, in the early 2000s was such a weird time for superhero movies, and he was just so cool. He was so cool. Like the action was the dialogue was a bit cheesy, but it was so like late 90s, 2000s cool in the way the action choreography. And it's just really sad that like Mahershala Ali is like frustrated with the script.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's like also too like of all of them, I don't think Blade really fit the theme of the rest of the
Mhm.
Marvel movies, which is like kind of random too. They're like, yeah, Blade. I'm like, okay, so he's just gonna fight vampires and but it's cool, but whatever.
It's just it would help add to their like I know they want like an adult. I think they introduced like an adult and I forget what it is, but I know they want more adult programming. Like I know when they brought the Netflix shows over
Mm,
and they want something like that. And I think if they add Deadpool to the ranks, they'll have more like rated R things.
mm-hmm.
Which speaking of Deadpool, since we're kind of phasing out of MCU things, what'd you think of that announcement they just made?
I thought it was actually pretty cool.
Mhm.
When is Deadpool coming out? 2024 or
Yeah, 2024, I believe.
okay? I always have issues when they announce stuff like a little bit of ways out. I'm like
Mhm.
this probably should have been announced in like middle of next year or early next year. That announcement should
Yeah.
have been made because it's like it was really cool, but it's like at the same time it's like okay, now we got this information, now what? Like we just kind of twiddle our thumbs.
You
And I
know,
get
it's just part of marketing now.
yeah, and I get it. You want to build hype for the movie and stuff, but it's like ah man, there is like such thing of like shooting like shooting your load a bit early.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what they kind
Which
of
nobody
did.
wants to do.
Exactly. No one
Yeah.
wants to shoot their load
You know
early.
what? If I was Ryan Reynolds with all the power I have, I wouldn't mention Hugh Jackman and Wolverine at all and just let it be like a surprise.
Hmm.
Like imagine you're in the middle of the thing and like Deadpool's doing his thing, like shoot, 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 and then just Hugh Jackman appears. Like that'd be insane. And you just feel like, what the hell? But they don't do movies like that anymore.
Yeah, I also heard too that this is gonna be like a separate Wolverine that's not like in the Logan universe.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
curious to
remember
see how they play it off.
people on Twitter were complaining. They was like, "Oh, now what? Is Logan ruined? What happened? You're ruining." And I'm just like, first of all, those X-Men movies, the timeline, it just don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. It's all jumbled up. And second of all, even if Logan is canon to the Deadpool universe, which I don't think it is, I have no idea. It's just for fun. That's all Deadpool's ever been.
Hmm.
Like, why are you taking it so seriously? This could be an entirely different version of Wolverine.
That's what I think it's gonna be. I think they're
Mhm,
because he's gonna officially join the MCU.
mhm,
So I think this is gonna like they're gonna be variants. Like that's what I see.
mhm,
Like so, there's probably gonna be a Wade Wilson in the like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he's not
mhm.
gonna be Deadpool. He's just gonna be Wade. So there's gonna that's what I think, something like that. You know, like these are their variants of them, and somehow, some way, they're gonna cross over into the main Marvel world.
See, and I think it might have to be Ryan Reynolds because I don't know of another actor that would get accepted into that role. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if they announced like, oh, this is MCU Deadpool, I feel like people would be like, oh, Ryan Reynolds Injustice, like just bring him over. I feel like it wouldn't they wouldn't receive positive feedback if they cast a new actor for MCU Deadpool.
But also too, it's like, didn't he only want to do three? Is that a thing, or am I making that up?
I have no idea. To be very frank with you, I didn't even see Deadpool 2, so
Deadpool 2 was good. It was really, really good.
I
Wow.
thought it was cool that they brought in Domino, Shatterstar, and Cable, even though I know Shatterstar like dies immediately or something. Spoilers for Deadpool 2. But yeah, I don't really
Why haven't
I
you
thought the
watched
first one
Deadpool
was good.
2?
Where do I watch it?
Huh?
Where do I watch it?
I think you can watch it like on Disney Plus, can't you?
I don't know about that. Anyways, I don't know. I missed the boat on that one. And I mean, it looked funny. It looked fun. I loved the what is it? Josh Brolin
Yeah,
as Cable.
it's on Hulu. It's on
Okay,
Disney Plus. It's
okay.
on
That'll be my homework for this weekend. I'll watch Deadpool 2.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's solid. It's really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, I'll have to look at it then. Although I know the plot is like some mutant kid, like he tries to be an X-Man or something.
Uh
Isn't he? Doesn't he try to save some kid or something? You watched the movie.
yeah, like years ago. Yeah, it
Yeah, he tries
revolves
to
around a
save some
kid.
kid or something.
It revolves around a
Oh,
kid.
and then like Cable's just like, I have to kill him to save the future, and Deadpool's like, no, you can't do that.
I don't know. Watch the fucking movie, okay? Just shut up and watch the movie.
No, sorry. Spoilers for Deadpool 2 if our listeners haven't watched Deadpool 2. And if you had, you roast me for not seeing Deadpool 2. So what else did you want to talk about? My co-host, Luis
Um,
Joshua Gutierrez.
so for I've just hit a little bit of gaming news. So Google released their own like version of like a console a little ways back, maybe a couple years ago. It was called Google Stadia. So pretty much
Mhm,
what it was, and it's a cool concept. It's a really cool concept. It was that you plug in a Chromecast. I'm dumbing it down, but you essentially plug in a Chromecast to your TV, and you have your own controller. And after you have your own controller, you play games, you stream them. And they came out saying like, oh, we have games like Destiny 2, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, and all most of them except for Destiny 2 were games that have been out for like a while. They've had like a big shelf life, and people are like, why do we care about these old games if we could play them on our PlayStation, Xbox, or computer? And I think one of the biggest games they had at launch was Cyberpunk. And during the Cyberpunk like launch, when it was like super buggy, Stadia was one of the only ones who had a clean launch, so that kind of helped their numbers a bit. But they were always like boasting like, yeah, this is gonna be the console killer, but their studios and all that were lackluster, and it's a shame too because they hired like good people, like really like talented people, but it was just they didn't do anything with it, and now Google Stadia is shutting down. And uh and it's funny because I've kind of thought about getting a Stadia just for shits and giggles, and I wonder what Stadia is gonna like. What's gonna happen with like all like the server stuff now, because they even told people
mhm.
that they're gonna refund them their money and blah blah blah. But like, what do you do with that technology now?
My question is just to clarify things: was Stadia an actual like handheld console, or was it like Game Pass, where like you could go on your laptop and like have access to all
I
these
believe it
games?
was like a Game Pass thing too.
Hmm.
But yeah, it wasn't a handheld console. It was, like I said, it was like a Google Chrome
Gotcha.
thing you put into your TV,
Mhm.
and then you use your Bluetooth controller to sync up.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I remember seeing commercials like Stadia, and then
Hmm.
had a bunch of games, and I looked interesting, but it just never drew me in to play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just give me
Yeah,
one
and
second.
you know what? I like the concept of introducing another player into sort of the gaming world, because it very much is dominated by PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and even third party publishers have to turn to one of those in order to put their game out. So the fact that there was another option in the market of like publishing games, of where to play things, that's really cool. But capitalism be capitalism be. So if it fails, then I don't know. It'll either fall to the ground and be forgotten, get swallowed up by another company, and that's just how kind of it goes in this industry.
Yeah,
So shout out to Stavia and what it was able to do, I guess.
which wasn't much.
It wasn't able to do much, but we appreciated the attempt.
And it was super funny too because I've been seeing some like the rounds on Twitter.
Mhm,
When they announced the Stadia, they had like essentially like kiosk machines of like old consoles. Like they had like the
mhm.
Sega Genesis, the Atari, and they're like, look at all of these giants that are dead now. That's not gonna be us, and now they're just
Oh
within the
god.
ranks. And I always find it funny when big companies come out swinging and they're like, "Look at us," and then end up falling victim of like the shit that they were talking crap about. It's always funny.
That's so sad. Oh, and I'm looking it up. Apparently there was like a Stadia controller.
Hmm. The
So
controller looked pretty cool.
yeah, you know what? I would say get one right now just so you can have it on your shelf.
Hmm.
Be like, like how people have old consoles on the wall. They're just like, oh yeah, I had that. Yeah, I had a GameCube, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I had a Stadia controller. Ooh,
See, and then Amazon has their own thing too. It's like the Amazon Luna. Have you seen it?
I've never heard of that. What is that?
It's kind it's of the same vein of Stadia, but I don't know too much about the Luna. But it's like Amazon has their own like studio of games and stuff too. I kind of want to try it
Well,
out.
Amazon wants to have their own everything. They want to have their own music, their own streaming service. They want to have their own. They just want probably dip their toes. They're like, let's try for gaming and see how it goes.
I know they made a game that our buddy Kevin was super into for a hot second. I think it was called what was it called? It was an
I don't
MMO
know.
game. God damn it. New World
Oh,
or I have whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, they've dabbled a bit in games already too though.
mhm. I hope he wrote. I hope he listens to this far in and just like yells at us for forgetting the game.
I know
Like
he's
I'm
like
ready
it's
for that
called
DM.
this.
He just gets really bad. We're just like, oh no, our one listener, our one. No, I know we have a couple listeners, but he gives us, whether or not we ask it, we get feedback. So that's nice. I would love to become a better podcaster, so I'll take it in stride.
You know,
But
I
yeah,
think oh go for it, go for it.
no, go ahead. No,
I think what
no,
would
go ahead.
help is if we had like predetermined topics 5 minutes. No, that's not like
We
5 minutes before.
first of all, Noah news is solid. I have not failed on that yet. Has it only been 2 times? Yes, but I have not failed on that. Third of all, we have topics. We decide on topics. We talk about topics. It just takes us a minute to decide what specifically we're going to talk about. And I think that's can you tell how hard I'm bullshitting right now?
Hmm.
Uh, that's just part of the fluidity of the podcast. We can change at a moment's notice to talk about relevant things. And in fact, I think it's one of our strengths. And I'm sorry you don't see that.
You know, last thing I want to bring up. Did you see the
Mhm.
trailer for The Last of Us? That was this week, right? Or was that last week?
I'm very excited. I love Pedro Pascal.
Hmm.
He's my number one guy. I'm avoiding the trailer because I just want to go in blind.
Okay, I saw the trailer and
What
I
do you
was
think
like,
of it?
man, this look cool. Like that was this
Mhm.
week, right?
Yeah, it came out this week.
Okay, yeah. I just want to. We'll probably this will probably be our last thing to talk about. Um, it looked like, as someone who's never played The Last of Us, like I want to. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I just can't get my hands on a PS5. Um, it looked good. It looked really good. And I was like, holy shit, this looks like a lot of fun. And as someone who doesn't really know too much about the source material, it looks like they're staying true to the source material. Like I think they're called clickers, which is like they're monsters, whatever they're called, you know.
Yeah, they're like fungus zombies, kind of.
Yeah,
Like they release spores, and if you breathe them in, you start getting infected and stuff.
yeah. They showed a little bit of the clickers, and I'm like, oh, this looks
Hmm.
dope. Like this looks real good. And they showed some action scenes, and then Nick Offerman was in it. Did
Hmm.
cool little things, and I'm like, this looks like a lot of fun. And if even if it's half as good as the game, I think that's still a dub. Like I think it's still a good thing because like
Hmm.
it has a lot going for it. There's a lot going for it.
I'm gonna say I feel like the gameplay is very solid, very good for The Last of Us. I think what really makes it memorable is the storyline of the first game. We're not talking
Mhm.
about second game. Let's not get into that mess. But the first game is incredibly solid with its story. And the writer Neil Druckmann is actually on board for and will be co-writing the first season
Mhm.
with the guy who made the miniseries Chernobyl. If you watch that.
I need to watch that. I hear it's really
Mhm.
good.
So it's him and that guy who wrote the first season, and apparently the series will take some liberties in the cast and maybe the story. So it'll be interesting to see what they change and what's adapted differently. And
Mhm.
I feel like video games. This is my opinion. I feel like video games might adapt better to TV simply because levels are basically episodes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I feel like it translates easier because you can say like, okay, this part of the game is this and this and this and this, and it feels like it'd be easier to translate. What
Yeah,
do you think?
I agree to an extent because I feel like with video games, at least because it's all like CG and animated,
Mhm,
there's so much like you can do so much more.
mhm.
But
Although I say that as somebody who has not watched the Halo show,
don't watch it.
and yeah, I haven't heard great things about it.
I only watched it because like I'm like a big Halo fan, but I wouldn't
Mhm.
recommend it to anyone else. Like
I like the
it's
armor.
the armor's cool. Yeah, the armor's really dope, but that show was just a clusterfuck
Mhm.
of shit. And it's sad too because like the heart's there. I feel like Noah right now talking about the CW. Like the heart is there. They you could tell like everyone on it really
Mhm.
liked what they did, but it was just like, oh my god, it's not
That
even Halo at
execution.
that point. And I'm all for, like, you know me, like I'm all for changing stuff. Like if
Mhm.
change whatever you need to change. But they changed it so much where like it wasn't even, I was like, bruh.
Like they changed so much lore and story that it's not even Halo. It doesn't even feel like Halo.
Yeah, like there were some parts that people really got up in arms about, like the first episode he takes off his helmet and everyone's like,
Oh, and he's
"Oh,
never supposed to do that, right?
no, he's taken off his helmet I think like a couple of times, but it's always like at the end of the game and you never see his face, you just see the helmet."
Mhm.
And yeah, so they took off his helmet the first episode. People got up in arms. I didn't give two shits about that. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm confused about why people would be mad about
And
that.
then another one where it's like I thought it was pretty funny. Like you see his ass, you
Mhm.
see his cheeks, and then a couple episodes later he claps cheeks and have sex for like the first time.
Mhm.
People are mad about that. There was like a little stuff like that that I thought was really funny that people were getting up in arms about. I'm like, if my boy Chief wants to fuck, let him fuck. Like,
They want him to be an incel like them.
yeah, but there was some things I didn't really like. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend the Halo show if you're not a big Halo fan. Because if you're not a big Halo, hmm,
Like just go play the games basically.
yeah. But
If
you
you're
know
interested
what?
in Halo, just go play the games and then come back to the show if you really are invested in the ideas.
But for someone like you, and I'm thinking out loud now,
I how was
you
that?
might
There was
like
a
it.
new Halo game that came out, wasn't there?
It was Halo Infinite that came out like a year ago, I want to say.
Was that any good?
The story's good. It's lackluster in content,
Mhm.
but after you beat the game, it's just kind of, there's really not much to do after that.
I remember we've had conversations on the podcast when we in the past about how it feels really bad because when Xbox One launch, that was supposed to be like its head title, but then it got pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, it makes sense because you got to give these guys the time to work on the game. But also, if you have a big console to launch, you should probably wait until your headlining game is ready for it. You know?
Yeah, the Halo Infinite is such a letdown now. I'm like,
I'm
it just hits my
sorry.
heart every time I think about it. Like I said, the campaign's good. The campaign's really good.
Mhm.
Like I'd recommend that to everyone. But after you beat the campaign, just put the game away. Throw it up on the shelf and don't look at it ever again.
I'll use it as a coaster
Yeah.
because I buy that physical copy. You know me.
Shut up, Noah. And I think I think we're gonna probably end right here. Go watch The Last of Us when it comes out. Go support it. If you really want, go watch Halo. It's on Paramount Plus.
Mhm.
And
Paramount Plus.
yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. And while you're at it, go watch
What?
the South Park movies.
You can also go watch the new iCarly TV show if you want to watch iCarly.
Is that did they ever get renewed for a second season?
I think so.
I wonder how that's gonna play out now, especially because the Jenna McCarthy, that's her name, right? Jenna McCarthy,
Uh huh.
or with her
Yeah.
book. So I wonder how that's
I
gonna.
think I don't know, but her book is. I've heard excerpts from it. I've been meaning to buy it, but every time I go to like Target or something, they never have it. But I've heard a lot of good things about that book. It's a
Yeah,
very interesting introspective into like the life of a Hollywood child actor.
my girlfriend's mom bought her the book, and
Mhm,
she hasn't read it yet. But it looks from what I've seen, I didn't have cable growing up,
mhm.
but
Same.
she tells a compelling story. So there's no doubt
Mhm,
about that. It's a very compelling story, and like the excerpts I heard, I'm like, yeesh, fuck, like that's fucked
mhm.
up, you know?
I remember a chapter, I think I saw it on TikTok or something, where she describes how she's dealt so much with her mom's bullshit that she was able to see her mom's expressions and know like, oh, she's mad, she needs this. Oh, she's sad, she needs this. And no child should be on that level of taking care of their parent. You know what I
Mm-mm-mm.
mean? That's just toxic as hell.
But on that note of parent toxicity, we will end the podcast.
Like,
Thank you guys for listening to episode 24. Let me double check that. Yes, 24 of the Geek Press
mhm.
podcast. If you made it this far, we appreciate it as always. My name is Luis Gutierrez, and as I was joined by my co-host Noah Garcia.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want to follow me, what the fuck was that? Yeah.
That was me agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm Noah Garcia.
If you want to follow me on social medias, it's the same on Instagram and Twitter
Mhm,
at Luis Gutierrez. You can also find my work on IGN.com under the wiki section. I'm currently working on Grounded, and you can also find my work at GameSpot.com where I do news and guides. But most of my attention currently at the moment is on IGN because I gotta meet a deadline. But Noah,
mhm.
where can people find you and your work?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Noah is Garcia. And if you want to check out my photography work, you can go to Noah Garcia underscore photography on Instagram. And if you want to see my writing pieces, you can go to the Daily 49er and dig through that nonsense and try to find something I've written. Because I've tried the search engine and it's very odd, but I will plug them anyways because I like them.
Maybe the Daily 49ers racist. They don't like Mexicans.
Goodbye, folks. Good night.
All right, peace.